Today we are in the company of renowned filmmaker Amudhan R P. Amudhan has been making films for the past 20 years and is responsible for curating various film festivals across India. Currently, he is also teaching as a guest faculty across various film institutes. Today we are going to talk about the rather lesser known side of our first Prime Minister Jawahar Lal Nehru. As a lot of you may not know, he was a lover of cinema and had a huge role in shaping of what Indian cinema is today. The director is going to shed some more light into this. So can you tell me how big was Nehru's role in influencing Indian cinema? How did he perceive cinema in the first place to drive his vision in building a modern country?
As far as cinema is concerned, he was always influenced by European cinema, Chaplin, Soviet cinema, especially Soviet cinema, Eisenstein, So he was very much influenced by them. When he became the Prime Minister, also the Congress party was also very open to have there was a wave in India, the Nehruvian dream, socialism, So people felt that this is the time we could imagine big, construct new ideas, things. Starting from the film festivals to film institute, all the serious cinema that we are talking about was actually, all those initiatives were actually taken by Nehru only. He could do two things. One, he also influenced the commercial filmmakers, B.R. Chopra, or Bimal Roy, or L.V. Prasad, Raj Kapoor. They were all influenced by Nehruvian socialist ideas on the one hand. On the other hand, he also constituted that Film and Television Institute of India, FTII in Pune. The institution also made the new wave cinema or parallel cinema in India. The parallel cinema of those days, of those 30 years, in which Mrinal Sen, Shyam Benegal, Adur Gopalakrishnan, Arvindan, all those people made a cinema. All those things were possible only because of Nehru. Because he started the FTI. FTI created an atmosphere. Films have to be used to build a modern nation, which was never there. We were all a feudal country, we were all kingdoms, we were slaves. We were now becoming an independent nation. So all those things have to be told to the people, informed to the people, given to the people. So cinema had to be used like that. So it was the right thing, the apt thing that you could do.
So in a newborn country like India, which is very poor, very backward, and while filmmakers are talking about nation building, poverty, invariably there will be some criticism, some disappointments with the current regime and a leader who went on to rule, to be in power for a very long time, more than a decade, almost 20 years. So how did these directors, if they were to criticize or combat the ruling government, how were they perceived by Nehru and his regime?
During that time, when people made cinema, popular cinema, they were not only praising India, okay, they were also criticizing India. They were also not only Nehru, they were also criticizing, they were also highlighting the poverty. Mother India, or the other films by Bimal Roy, or films by Guru Dutt. Guru Dutt films were actually they were extremely pessimistic films, very sad films. He says there is some kind of people have lost hope. Essay he was talking, this film. But those films were not banned. Those films were encouraged. Nehru was always ready to accept any criticism, especially through cinema. See, films division was actually during that time. Later, films division also formed during the Nehru time only. Films division actually is an extension of the earlier department started by British India. Okay, so when India became independent, the films division was started. So films division was actually used by Government of India for nation building. Like what is India, How do we all live together? What are the new schemes? They were not propaganda negative films. They were actually taking the message to the people. So they were all. So those filmmakers were not curtailed. They were allowed to make free films. They were actually making films criticizing government policies, government schemes, inabilities, limitations, the poverty, the corruption. All those things were actually discussed in those films, and nobody, the government of India did not, there was no basically incident of, people banning the films or attacking the filmmakers.
So what is the reason behind that Indian films do not talk the same way they used to talk in Nehru's time? Maybe not nation building, but especially in the Hindi mainstream cinema, filmmakers don't have shared vision of how the country should be. Maybe it's there in the south, but it's clearly not here. So what do you think leads to such a situation? Is it also the failure of the leadership of the central government that breaks the cinema of the country into something less sensitive, less intelligent?
It can be discussed in two ways. One, probably because government lost interest in cinema. Government actually withdrew from cinema because there used to be a thing called NFDC, National Film Development Corporation, again initiative by Nehruvian, socialism, where government will fund films.
So are you saying the government is not backing films anymore?
Now they have almost stopped. So the government, so there is we had 2-3 major interventions in those times. One, film society movement. Film society movement, of course, it was not a government initiative, it was a left movement initiative. But those things could happen because the government was in support of that initiative. Okay? So across the country, we used to have film societies. So when the IFI happened in Bombay, then it created a situation in India where serious cinema or European cinema can be shown across the country. It's been restricted to Goa now. Earlier it used to be like Delhi, Mumbai, it used to be a travelling film festival. On the one hand, you have this film festival culture. That film festival culture also encouraged independent film society movement, where all the Adur Gopalakrishnan, Mrinal Sens and all those people were Satyajit Rays, they were all directly involved in the film society movement. Okay? And then you also have NFDC, National Film Development Corporation, which used to fund films, produce films. So filmmakers they were not in a situation to always think about market and returns, commercial profit, success. These are all very difficult terms. An artist cannot always think about that. So they had the freedom. But that is not happening now. So that is one major setback in the past 20 years. That may be because of the liberalization process, because that has actually taken away the government's role in many activities. Health, education, transport, everything government has slowly withdrawn. So cinema also become the last priority now. So market has to take care of cinema. Financiers have to take care of the cinema, not the nation, because they think cinema is not a basic entity. They think cinema is just a luxurial thing, or indulgence. It's not a basic. It's a basic requirement. Cinema also gives you knowledge, focus, experience. Otherwise, if you have experience, why would you kill people for eating beef? Because you don't have experience. You don't know how people think. You don't know how people live in other parts of the world. You think your mahalla is the entire world. That's why you are killing. That's why you could come together, 100 people come together and kill each other. You don't know what's happening outside. Cinema actually has the ability to connect people from. If we had continued that Nehruvian dream, we would have good filmmakers. We would have also been able to tackle those riot culture that we are facing right now.
So you say Nehru had a huge positive influence on Indian cinema, which was just fresh out of independence and needed a certain push. But how is that different from what we have right now, especially in the last 4 years, where the current regime bases its ideology on the sentiments of the majority, which might not be completely inspired from Nehru's ideas?
Right now we have two attacks, one state attack and non-state attacks. Okay, the state is actually restricting us through its censor board. Censor board is being used basically to curtail filmmakers, you know, and people who are sitting in the censor board, they just do not have any sense about cinema, and they are restricting cinema. Okay, Sexy Durga, no, they don't even look at the story. Sexy, the word sexy is there, that's all. It's banned. On the other hand, you have these non-state players, fundamentalist groups. They can attack any filmmaker anytime. They can threaten the cinema halls. They can threaten the distributors. They can threaten the filmmakers. You know, they attack the film screenings. You know, we never had these things before. Non-state players are always given protection by the state. And whenever there is a riot happening, whenever there is some attack happening against a filmmaker by this Hindutva brigade, the government doesn't come forward to support the artist, the filmmaker. The other area is influencing filmmakers to make Hindutva films, influencing filmmakers to make you know, like anti-women films, anti-Dalit films, anti-Muslim films. You know, that is also continuously being encouraged in the past 20 years across the country. You know, the Hindutva wave is there. They have been, after Babri Masjid demolition, they have been going on influencing all the players, state, non-state players. And the government is the culmination of all the wave. If you want to question this government, you have to question the wave that has been created from the 91-92 Babri Masjid Ram Mandir movement. From there you have this big, huge wave of questioning anything that is modern. That is why BJP is against Nehru. Because Nehru built the modern India. Modern India means, when you say modernity, the basic thing about modernity is an individual right. That's why consistently Modi is attacking Nehru. Consistently attacking Nehru because Nehru built a modern nation. This government, also the parent body, they are all anti-intellectual. They are all anti-intellectuals. They just can't accept anything that is intellectual. Okay, so cinema is an intellectual art medium, and they will not allow this, and they are not allowed. And they allow only one type of cinema. So this is what's happening in two ways.
So thanks a lot for taking out the time to talk to us and our audiences.